All
All
right, we're
right,
live.
we're live again. So it's the Mack and Tyler show. Back at
We're back.
dSIPRouter Weekly. So me and Tyler haven't had a lot of time to really chat. Like it seemed like we were just on this show yesterday, and I know it was like last week, but things are moving fairly quickly. I guess the couple of things I think we want to chat about today is really one, being an Astrocon. So we're going to be an Astrocon, and I want to talk about what I want to kind of set up for that. Um, Two, I think Tyler, you wanted to talk about some of the new features that we wanted to add. I also wanted to talk through some new things I want to get feedback from the community on. Um, and then I think we wanted to perhaps just quickly just talk through maybe like some trends that we're seeing in the industry, especially around VoIP providers, especially for ones that I don't even know how to like these smaller VoIP providers, I guess is what we'll call them. What are we kind of seeing in the industry? Because I kind of see different things. And then from there, we'll just close out the show with what stuff that we're working on that we're excited about. I think that covers it. What do you think, Tyler?
Yeah, I think that week went by way too quick.
Right.
When you got multiple projects juggling, it gets a little crazy. But yeah, we got some
Yeah.
fun stuff coming up. Yeah, hey, let's just kick it off.
Yeah. So Astrocon. So I put something in the Slack channel around if you're going to Astrocon, let us know because I would love to set up a some type of meet and greet, happy hour, so we can just kind of hang out and just get to know people in the community and kind of get to hear from a face-to-face standpoint what issues people are having. So please let Tyler or I know if you're going to Astrocon, so that we can schedule something.
Yeah, I want to hear all the stories. If you want to hear all the use cases, and we want to get to know our customers a little bit better. So please come hang out with us for a little bit. We'll have lunch or something. Just put it in the chat. Again, our Slack channel is going to be in the show notes, so check that out. Come and join us. We respond really quickly there. We're always on.
I was thinking more alcohol though, Tyler, than lunch. But yes, that's fine.
Maybe a brunch.
We can do lunch.
Mimosas.
Right. So yeah, so definitely we'll do that. So the next thing I wanted to really, we wanted to dive into is like some of the features that, and me and Tyler definitely have different viewpoints on features. So at some point, me and Tyler will sit and figure that all out. But I feel like the Camilio community is great and they're adding new features, but I'm also seeing a lot of interest from the OpenSIPs community. I have somebody in my LinkedIn messages that says, "Hey, let me know when you support OpenSIPs. We really are excited for dSIPRouter to come to OpenSIPs." And I want to start bringing in people from the OpenSIPs community to kind of figure out, will this be valuable? I mean, OpenSIPs kind of ships with his own kind of UI or has his own UI available. So I wanted to kind of figure out, will that be something that people want?
Yeah, it's a pretty big transition or extra workload to add that in. So we definitely, before like taking a big step like that, we want to make sure that that's something that you guys are actually going to use. Is that something that would benefit you guys? If not, there's no point in us taking all that time to create new interfaces that work with both. So let us know. Give us comment. Hang us on Slack. Tell us, hey, OpenSIPs. I know Mac is really interested in it. So if that's something that the community is interested in, just let us know.
And then secondly, I want to be able to like use dSIPRouter in a fashion where I can have one dSIPRouter UI that can talk to multiple Camilio instances. And right now we kind of can. We can't really do that because right now we are very tightly integrated with the local. So right now, the way dSIPRouter talks to Chameleon is via the Chameleon API, and right now we do it on local hosts for security reasons, just to make it so that nobody can pop on and access your Chameleon server off the internet. But if we wanted to support a dSIPRouter instance talking to multiple Chameleon instances that are running dSIPRouter, we would need to define that interface very clearly. I don't know. I don't know if that's something that people want, but for us, it would make it much easier for us to do some testing, because now we could have dSIPRouter kind of run as its own process flow. You just, when you spin up dSIPRouter, you just say, hey, where's my Chameleon instance and in database, and you point to it and it works if we wanted to do it that way. Well,
I think
not
we would have
database.
to.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we would have to clearly define that for sure.
Yeah.
I could imagine something like the multi-tenancy that you see with Fusion, that same type of selection menu. Could select your different instances, but is that really helpful to people? Being able to manage it on one single instance versus multiple ones. I think that'd be useful. There's a lot of extra work to integrate that in, though. Got to define that authentication method there on Chameleon. Make sure that's robust.
Yeah, I think it would be. I think it would be. I mean, the partly it's there. I mean, like, yeah, you're right. I mean, it would be a little bit of a challenge because right now we don't really have a strong authentication mechanism between dSIP and Chameleon, except for the fact that it uses localhost. So yeah, it would be something we would need to figure out. But it's something.
Well, it's got a token as well. So we're using the JSON RPC token there, but I don't know. I would want to kind of move to an OAuth model or something a little bit more robust than a single bearer token. Once we start opening up services like that.
Yeah.
Usually it is on your internal subnet though. So that's probably a benefit there, I guess.
Yeah, but this is just something that I'm thinking about because it'll be, I think a lot of cases, we're just trying to make it easier so that people could run dSIPRouter in a. I want to get it so to a point where it runs as its own little executable, so they can easily. So here goes my vision, right? This is what I was thinking. I was thinking that
lay it down.
What I was thinking is that we would have a kind of a backend to dSIPRouter. So that would be so all right, let me just back up actually. So just imagine you download dSIPRouter and you say, hey, where's your Chameleon instance at? And so you say, hey, my Chameleon instance is here. Now this Chameleon instance is brand new. It's naked. It doesn't have anything except the default configs. And then dSIPRouter, the UI, or better yet, I want to call it more of a control plane. The control plane is dSIPRouter. It can say, hey, all right, no problem. We see your dSIPRouter is kind of a vanilla one. We're going to turn it into a dSIPRouter instance. So you click a button, it does all that's needed, and it turns that particular Chameleon instance into dSIPRouter. If that means, pushing a dSIPRouter config to it, making it, work, all that good stuff. So it would need to have more than just API credentials. It would need to also have the ability to SSH to that box and put down the dSIPRouter config, I think. But I'm thinking, how can dSIPRouter become more of a control plane that can take any Camilio instance and turn it into a dSIPRouter managed instance. So that's what I'm in my head I'm thinking about.
Yeah, I see the ease of use there. I don't really see the benefit though.
Yeah, I don't know the use either. I don't see the use or benefit. Is this something I want? I don't know if other people want it. What it does for us, it just makes it so that we can actually make the barrier of entry simpler. Like right now, people need to install all this stuff. It takes about 13 minutes to install, which isn't bad. So it's not bad. On a 2 CPU machine, it takes 13 minutes. So it's not bad. So maybe I'm solving for something that I don't need to solve for. But anyway, I cut you off, but what were you saying? I think you're about to say the same thing, probably. Go ahead.
No, actually, so what I'm leaning towards there is more of reproducible deployments. So if we can get images out or ISOs, things that are static and built already, I think that is easy. That's probably easiest for people because they can just go, hey, pop this ISO on new VM, or they can install the Docker image or what have you, install the Debian package. So I think that's probably the way I'm leaning towards on that instead
that makes sense.
Yeah, because we don't want it. The best thing about the static builds is that your requirements or your apps that you built, they don't break because it's built, right?
Right.
So it's hard to do with Python. There's some ways that I've looked into before about statically compiling it, but yeah, there's with the Python app, it makes it a little bit harder. Now, we've actually talked a few times about this switching to Golang, and that's something we've actually done a couple UIs on top of already. But yeah, what are your thoughts on Golang and packaging and reproducible builds?
You know how I feel already. I am a Golang fan. I think that I get so frustrated with these packages, man. I like literally, I'd be like, my goodness. So yeah, I'm all about using Golang and having a reproducible UI component that works out the box. But that's mainly reason why I was thinking about having it, kind of being easy to plop in and turn a vanilla instance into a dSIPRouter instance. Because now, boy, oh boy, like first of all, dSIPRouter, if I look at how long it takes dSIPRouter to install, it's quick. It's really RTP engine that takes the time, and there's all the libraries that and I guess there's all the requirements for dSIPRouter. So like installing dSIPRouter is easy, but then there's a whole bunch of libraries that need to go with it. So I think we will take a good 3 minutes off the build if we have it as a Golang executable,
well, if it's compiled down, I mean, you're talking real short. Even if you're compiling that from scratch, I get where you're going with that, though.
Yeah, I wouldn't even compile it from scratch. I would go and, I mean, people could go get the binary if they wanted to, but I would, or get the source if they wanted to, but yeah, they would go get the binary and run that unless they really wanted the source for some reason. But yeah, like I said, it'll be 3-4 minutes off of the install. That's cool. But I don't think it's just taking the time off the install. I think what you said, like not having to, for us as a development team, we won't have to worry about all these issues of like, oh, that library is no longer available on CentOS, or that package is no longer available on CentOS. So it makes it much easier for us, and we can concentrate on the packaging of Camilio and RTP engine.
Yeah, I mean, we even have custom patches in our regular deployment right now. So all that stuff, it would be really nice if we had those packaged up. So what would be like your preferred packaging format? So like a Docker image or Kubernetes, or through like a Debian package or a Gopher package.
No, I mean, no, I mean, I think like I think the way we I think if somebody's starting out with dSIPRouter, I think what we do today of like what we call native, let's just call that a native packaging, is fine. But I think if you start thinking about like how people want to deploy using Kubernetes, I think there needs to be or Docker. I mean, really Docker leads into Kubernetes. So if you have a very well-defined set of Docker instances that make up dSIPRouter, people could easily deploy that on Kubernetes. But I think that comes back to my whole thing around having really a clear interface between the UI and Camilio, because in order to do a Docker image, you would need to have a Docker image of just dSIPRouter, and then you would need to have a Docker image of Camilio and of RTP Engine, and then use Docker Compose to bring them all up. But you need to have clear, you know, interfaces between them so they can communicate properly. So that's what I would love to see.
Yeah.
How about you?
Excuse me. Yeah, I think the isolation is not really there right now between components. And that's it's something that if you've looked at the commit history, a few different commits that we've been starting to pull pieces apart, putting the components in different buckets. I think each component is kind of going to be in its own package moving forward instead of a mono repo. I don't know. I get that mono repos are easy, but it's easy, really easy to version with the smaller repos. So that's kind of what I'm tending towards right now. But either way, we could still package it separately, even if we stuck with the mono repo. Package the CLI portion and package the the backend portion, the Camilio config portion, or what have you.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and I mean, you just brought up something as well. It's like we do have a dSIPRouter CLI that's written in Golang that's totally separate, and I wonder, and that's another thing. Is there interest of really building it out? Right now, it does very simple stuff. It does leasing, which nobody cares about. I've came to a conclusion, and then inbound mapping, and then it has the whole concept of that agent that does the sync between FreePBX and dSIPRouter. Like, is there value of building that out? This is really a question to the community here. If you're listening to this, let us know. Of having the ability to say, add a gateway group from the command line. So being able to say dSIPRouter CLI basically, and then say, gateway group add, and then you can add a gateway group and add endpoints to it from the command line. Obviously, it'll be using the API underneath, underneath dSIPRouter, but it makes it really simple for you to use. So be interested to know if people see value there.
Yeah, I think there's value in reproducible builds there. So this kind of ties into right now the main portion of that, we're calling it like the CLI, the tool that when you run dSIPRouter or something, that's CLI. So the main portion of that is just a bunch of bash scripts. But eventually we're going to convert that all into a little Golang CLI. So that's basically what Mack's been starting. I think if you saw like the license manager portion, that's really useful because if you're spinning up a new build, you want to activate, deactivate those. I think there's going to be a lot of there's probably some like cron cases, things that for leasing, for example, if you want to clear out leases at a certain rate, I think there's definitely some use cases there that we could use it for.
Yeah, I just think we want to hear from people, and I think this is why me and you are doing a mini tour. So just really quickly, I think you brought it up, is that we are going to be at Camilio World, and I think we're going to probably do a sponsorship for Camilio World. So you heard it here now. So you keep me, that way everybody can keep me, what's the word? Accountable. Thank you. Keep me accountable for that. So we definitely want to do it because Camilio, Daniel in particular has been super helpful to us, really supporting the project. So I think it's time for us to start, giving back to the community. And real quickly, here goes a little bit of a rant for me on this, is that I think a
Okay.
lot of times, we as an open source world, in the open source world, we we obviously use components all the time to build up and build additional value to consumers of open source software. Like if you look at curl, open source, been around for a long period of time, a lot of applications build on top of that goes off and use it as a way to go fetch things from the internet via HTTP. For us, obviously, we're leveraging Chameleon, and we built the UI on top. I think it's important that a lot of cases that you may not be able to give back immediately, but once you get to the point that you're able to give back to the community that really is providing the underlying engine for whatever you're building, I think you should give back, and that's where we are now, and that's why we're excited to come to Chameleon World and be there, and that's when I think we're going to have the most fun. I think Tyler is going to be in Germany, kicking it with the Chameleon fam, and talking.
Yeah, I'm excited
through
to see
all that
everybody
stuff.
again, man. So this
Yeah,
can be a good time.
yeah. So I'm excited there.
Yeah, just a little side note on
Mhm.
that, for everybody who is listening, we also contribute back upstream to all the projects that we are using, basically. So there, you'll see RPRs in there from time to time. But yeah, I think if you have a successful project, both is a great option. If you can monetarily get back, and if you can put some developers on there, fixing bugs and stuff, or just documentation. But yeah, gotta get back.
Documentation is undervalued, man. We would take anybody to help us with documentation, because that is the part
Yes.
that takes the longest to add to. Actually, I just thought about it. I need to add some documentation today. But yeah, that's that. So all right, we're reaching our time. I think we hit the areas that we want to talk about. What are you excited about, moving into next week, or just in general, Tyler?
I'm excited to have some uninterrupted time working on this project.
Yes.
So one of the things I am really excited about is the rate limiting. So we have session limits on endpoint groups, but my plan for this release is to get out the session limits on carriers. And so right now we also have CPS limits, but they're not in the GUI. I want to get those put into the GUI as well. So that's the Pike module that we implemented a while back. Pretty excited for that.
Yeah.
I've seen a ton of use of that, in the industry. It helps with fraud, and then you got your carriers that want to match their carriers and maybe rate limit a specific customer so they're not taking up too much bandwidth, all that type of stuff.
Yeah, and I think I don't know, did we integrate API ban yet from the command line yet, or not yet?
No. Oh no.
Okay.
We've been basically doing bug fixes and small features, but we will get to that. Yeah. So
yeah,
API
we will get to
ban,
that.
those guys are great too. I've talked to them a few times.
Shout out to Fred Posner for sure.
He's killing it.
Shout out to Freddie. So, but I think that that's going to be dope. I think getting some more stuff into the UI, and that's where we just need to get the UI to a point where people can just add their own stuff. But we'll get there. If we don't get to it in this version of it, it'll definitely be inside of the new architecture that we were talking about earlier. But no, this is super dope. I think for me, I'm going to be focused on writing a little, not writing, but recording a little video about how we use dSIPRouter in a project that we're doing in Africa right now. And it's a very common approach to using dSIPRouter, but I think it's going to be valuable just to talk through their use case a little bit, and just to talk through how you would do it. And I think sometimes the most elegant solutions are the most simple solutions, and I think this one really falls into that. So I'm excited to kind of talk about that. And in general, like, and I know Tyler, you get excited too. It's like when people are using our stuff in other countries, it's amazing to me that, you know, we're able to build something that's being used by people around the world. So I think we want to highlight that more than anything, and talk through that a little bit. So that's what I'm excited about.
Yeah, that's awesome. When we first started seeing, talking to some customers and seeing where everybody's from, Brazil, UK, Mexico. So it's been really interesting to see all the different people using the product. I do find that a little interesting.
Yep, absolutely. Well, guys, great talking to everybody for this week. We'll be back next week. Thank you, and we'll see you online. So take care.
All right, signing off. See you guys.